Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Monique Hodges, the founder and CEO of Gebanah. Monique brings a unique blend of philanthropy, community leadership, and entrepreneurial vision, with a background that includes serving as the first African American president of the Westport Young Women's League and vice president of the Westport Downtown Association. Based in Westport, Connecticut, Gebanah, founded in 2021, is transforming how businesses elevate their culture through strategic charitable giving with a focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, sustainability, and STEM education. We'll be exploring her founding story, how Gebanah empowers businesses to align mission and impact, and her vision for scaling this purpose-driven venture. With that being said, let's dive right in. Monique, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you, Jay. It's really good to be here.
An absolute pleasure to have you on the show today, Monique. So really would love to start at the top for our listeners. If you could take us back
Yes.
to the beginning, Monique, what specific problem in the workplace culture, perhaps around toxic environments or lack of community impact, really inspired you to start Gebanah?
So 5 years ago, I was president of the Westport Young Women's League, and I just finished a call discussing my strategy and my leadership style. And I was reflecting on the growing need of the community. Westport is a pretty affluent community in Fairfield County, but because of the times and because of my nonprofit work, I was able to see the growing needs in our community. And I asked myself that why there's such a disconnect between what we say we value and then what our actions are. And I wanted to say who has the resources, the capital, the incentive in order to align these things. And it was businesses. And I really thought, hey, let's partner some of my business acumen and some of these challenges to correlating these values into something that's market revenue building. And let's make culture a KPI metric.
I love that. With that, I definitely want our listeners to get a really good understanding of exactly what's going on here with Gebanah,
Yeah.
especially because our listeners could end up coming and working with you after this episode airs, Monique. So really walk us through how you're generating revenue today. As far as the core offer, really getting into the nuts and bolts, walk us through what that looks like for your clients, how it's structured, and what you're really bringing
Sure.
to the table here.
Sure. So I say I'm a strategy consultant, and I'm really here to impact organizational market value through culture development. The nonprofit piece and the giving back piece really comes at the end, and a lot of people like to rush to the beginning of that. And I find that's why a lot of companies don't have sustainable initiatives, and why a lot of companies say they may support women, may support DEI efforts, but I question whether, and the employees question, and shareholders and stakeholders question, are those actions really aligning with what they say their values are? So I created a unique strategic alignment strategy, and that allows me to take the company's mission, their messaging, and that's internal and external messaging, and people. And I count people into three revenue generating buckets. So that's any clients, customers, shareholders, the employees, and then the community. And that's where the giving starts. And right now, my structure of my offering is on a yearly basis and a 6 month basis. A year, I do charging, and then they get a little bit of, or excuse me, they get a little bit of a discount if they sign with me for a year, my clients, but I can do as short as 6 month contracts.
I love that. I love that. So really coming forward for on that consulting side, being able to provide that. And the funny thing is I've had actually other guests with a very similar fulfillment model, Monique. And the thing that I typically hear from them, it's been a bit difficult to scale. What's been your experience so far with that?
Yeah, I think my superpower is I've really been able to harness the power of like deduction and holistic thinking. So sometimes organizations and other consultants, things that they find difficult, I find very easy and exciting, actually. Finding problems, seeing patterns, and seeing solutions in different departments. I have a lot of experience in a lot of different industries and different departments, and I know how they run and operate. I say that I know a little bit about a lot, and I know just enough in order to make myself invaluable to my clients because a lot of times departments aren't even speaking to each other. They're not even aligned. And my superpower is being able to bring everyone together for a common goal. And that's what makes it sustainable and really unique.
I love it. So with that right there, I definitely would love to understand a bit more. So for Gabbana to reach that potential that clearly it has with you at the helm, are you thinking that you'll have to likely evolve the offer or the fulfillment structure to facilitate that next phase of growth?
Oh, 100%, Jay. 100%. It's just me. I'm an army of one right now. And I'm actually enrolled in a executive MBA program, a global executive MBA program. The school is called ESA, it's IESE, and it's a Spanish-based school. They're based in Barcelona. And I'm really utilizing that education in order to scale and grow my business. And I think we'll talk a little bit later about those next steps of what I want to do. But 100%. I've just come back a week ago, about a week ago from the second module. And I'm just sitting in class like, oh, gonna change this on my website, gonna change this, gonna change that. And it's not really to change the offering, it's more on how I present Gabbana because it really is a new concept. I am really focused on culture development and doing that from a strategic point of view and also a revenue generating point of view. And those two things in culture development, I don't think are really focused on by any consulting company.
Incredible. So clear as day, really working towards getting that to a point where you can scale and get to that next level and putting yourself through the school, because it sounds like you've already been through a good amount of it. So to just
Yeah.
continue to learn and grow, incredible to have you on really walking us through. Walk us through the acquisition side. Obviously, you're running the show on your own here as a solopreneur, which has so many different hats that you have to wear as a founder. So how are you currently acquiring customers as far as what channel is converting best for you right now? How does that look?
Yes, great question, Jay. So the channel I'm currently gaining clients now is word of mouth. It's been really successful for me. I've started very locally thus far, but I am in a transition phase, and it's really the driver of why I joined ESA's Global Executive MBA program is I want to scale. I want to work with organizations that have national and also international reach, and I need to be able to get to the people who are the decision makers. Any successful company that I speak to that has great sustainability or culture development initiatives, they all say the same thing. And it's what I believe they need the CEO's buy-in, they need leadership's buy-in. And that's really important. I say I want to work on what they want to invest in. And that is really important to me. We shouldn't be pushing up any kind of initiatives. It should all come from the top down. And that's really what it's about. And I am in transition a little bit because, or not transition, a little defining like who my customer is
Okay.
a little bit. I've been told, hey, you should worked in tech. You should just do this with tech. You've worked in healthcare. How about just do this with healthcare companies? And my answer is no. I don't want to do that. I want to get better at defining who the customer is because I know who they're not. And I want to be able to work with all industries. So that's a key strategic challenge that I have in front of me right now.
And I think that's the most important thing, right? Is to know, okay, here is the challenge I have is finding that ICP and let's work and break through that. On the acquisition side, obviously you said the biggest piece here is referrals for you. So how are you thinking about, I know that you're going through the transition, you're doing the school to get that scalability going, but with that right now, what does happen when referrals slow down? How are you approaching that? Are you doing other avenues like social media? Are you thinking about running ads? What other avenues are you thinking about when that referral side does slow down a bit?
Yes. And my business is a little different because I'm a one-woman show and my offering is so customizable. It's not something that right now can operate on its own if I just had an assistant or hired another consultant. So right now, getting new clients is all about networking for me. So in person, reaching out to people, going for coffee. It's not at all the social media pieces because that can get my name out there. And I like doing the social media for my newsletter that I started. It's like a passion project to get the name, but it hasn't been a revenue generator for me with acquiring clients. All of my clients are people who've heard that, hey, you're having a problem, there's a fixer. I know. It's getting an email that says, hey, Monique, meet so and I think Monique can help your business is the best type of generation that I get for clients right now. And I just had been using Gabana as like a side business for the past few years, and now I'm taking it on full time. And so that also gave me a cap on the capacity that I could handle. So we're looking to see, and I say we, my team of professors and cohorts in Gabana, looking to see how we can change and diversify the streams of income without cannibalizing the core business because I don't want to be too busy to give my core clients the type of attention that they deserve.
Right. No, I mean, which makes complete sense. From the sounds of it right now, it sounds like that challenge that you're having and are clearly working to solve is that predictability in the leads and
Right.
having a predictable lead flow coming in. So I also would love to understand a bit of how your mind is working through, as you mentioned, being a solopreneur. How is that affecting your ability to focus on more of the founder level work, being that you have to wear so many different hats? How are you approaching that, especially for our listeners who are in a very similar boat to you? How do you approach that challenge?
I think I'm very good at planning. So it's gives my strategic alignment, but I can get stuck in that, right? So I think I've really scaled the business by doing the steps properly to begin with. So I created an LLC immediately. I got my financials in order with getting a financial checking account, the credit card account. Right now, I'm building which I've been avoiding, my accounting system. I've just been winging it very much, but eventually I'll have to pay myself and eventually I'll have to allocate these things. So, trying to do activity-based cost systems for consulting companies, doing the balance sheets, all of those things just taking my time doing them. And also, a really good tip that I heard recently is having themed days. I have ADHD, and I'm best when I have a deadline. I'm best when there's an emergency. And so sometimes that admin work really gets left behind and lagged. And I just told my younger sister yesterday, I said, I need a business manager. I'm just the talent. I said, I need someone. I
Yeah.
needed someone to manage me. I'm just the talent. But theming my days has really helped me a lot keep everything on track as a solo entrepreneur. Mondays, I'm organizing my week. Tuesdays are my networking days. Wednesdays, I'm looking ahead and doing my newsletter. Thursdays, I am doing a lot of the other follow-up work from Mondays with clients and so on. So that has been really helpful.
Love that. Having that structure is super important. I think for our
Yeah.
listeners is really take some notes there, right? Being a solopreneur, it's a lot, right? Being a founder, there's so many different things that you have to do. So having that structure, and I mean, for you, what works best is again theme days, right? So that
Yes.
could work best for some of our listeners as well. Is that something that you're expecting to be able to sustain over the coming months, Monique, or are you now looking to get some people in some?
Hope not.
Yeah.
I hope my theme days get out of hand. Once I scale and I am able to hire or not able to, once I get to a place where I feel comfortable enough to hire that business manager or an executive assistant, those theme days will go over to them and I can have a bit more fun because working with the clients, being creative is really important to me. One of the best advices that I heard a couple of weeks ago from a CEO, he asked me, how am I automating any of my consulting
Oh,
services? And I said, I'm not. And he said,
yeah.
but Monique, you have to automate some of this. So that's my next way. How can I automate some of the strategic alignment? Maybe it's in the diagnosis. Maybe I can create an algorithm or do something that can help with the process a little bit. And once I can get a business manager or an executive assistant, those kinds of things, it free up so much more time for me to be able to scale in that way to automate and also diversify income and streams of income because I can sell those kinds of services just one off.
I love it. So with that, paint us a picture, Monique. What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for you with Gabana? The rest of 2025, what are you laser focused on to really be able to take advantage and hit that scale that you're looking to hit? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I am laser focused on making sure I lay the foundation. Consistency is really important when you are a solopreneur and when you have only this as a stream of income. Making sure that I create a plan and when I'm creating this plan that it is authentic to me. It's one of the three core values that I say I have at Gabana that I expect from my clients and they expect from me. And the first is having integrity. The second is being authentic. And the third is choosing compassion and just holding myself accountable. So I am doing that within my business and then scaling it. The automation is something I'm really interested in pushing forward and getting done as soon as possible. And I think I can get that done in 6 to 12 months.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I love that. I would definitely love to hear a bit more of your side of how you see the consulting industry as a whole, right? Particularly around workplace culture and corporate giving. Where do you see that as far as the evolution in the coming years? And how are you really positioning Gabana to take advantage and be at the forefront of that evolution that you're picturing?
Yeah, so the consulting industry right now is very muddled. It's murky. I seen the dude with the sign on online and he said, what is consulting?"
Yeah.
People are like, what is consulting? And I'm like, it could be a coach, it's a strategist. And so I feel that the consulting industry as a whole is a bit muddled. The huge consulting companies out there are trying to be the jack of all trades. And I have just heard a saying from a professor, Govert Vroom of mine. And Professor Govert Vroom said, you cannot be anything if you want to be everything. And that is something that I am really sticking to for Gabana. I am culture development. I'm about revenue building. I want to see the best in my clients if they want to see the best in themselves. I'm about being authentic. I am about having integrity, and I'm about choice and compassion because sometimes we might not always feel like doing something, but if it's good for the long-term view, I want to work with people who are willing to make those kinds of decisions.
And just clear as day, with the energy you have, the drive and the passion that you have, you're going to be able to achieve some amazing things with Gabana here. Truly a pleasure having you on the show today, Monique.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I do want to take us into the lightning round here to wrap up the show. It's been,
Yes.
again, just amazing to hear your perspective, which is why I love being the host of the show, right? I've done so many episodes at this point, and I love having solopreneurs like yourself and just really understanding the mindset, the thought process that it takes to be able to run a company like this and have so many different roles, just incredible hearing how you're maneuvering and operating and having success there. I would really love to hear about a tool or a resource that you're using right now, Monique. I know that you're now thinking about, okay, automation, what can I do? But what are you using now that's really been a game changer for Gebanah this fall?
Google Workspace.
Mm,
It's a complete game changer. I brought the Westport Young Women's League when it was, what was it called before? Basically, I brought them into the 21st century. Everything was on paper. When I
yeah.
became president, they just brought a huge bucket of papers to me of the history since 1956. And I said, guys, we've got to get on some kind of system, and Google Workspace worked for them, and I chose it for Gebanah when I started, and it is great. I have my domain there. I host my website through Squarespace, and AI has been the topic of the year, and it will continue to be. And Gemini is a great resource, and I'll come out with an article soon about 10 ways Gemini, she won't replace me, but she's a really great resource. And to be able to have all of that built in when you become a Google Workspace, have a Google Workspace account is really powerful. And the email's professional. You don't have to have Word, you have your Google Docs, all of that stuff there. It's been the most powerful resource.
Absolutely. I use Google Workspace myself, and it's impossible to replace it. It's incredible, an incredible tool to use. And just to finish us off here, Monique, what is a piece of advice that you can offer to our listeners tuning in right now, hearing your incredible story? What's something you can give them before we wrap up the show today?
Sure. So I'll give two pieces of advice because one I've mentioned earlier. The first is to get your financial affairs in order. So I really do think that entrepreneurs, we can get ourselves in trouble if we do not keep our funds, personal funds, separate to our business funds. It's really easy to get a business checking account and a credit card, and that also allows for a line of credit through the business so that it's not on personal. And it just opens up so many doors tax wise and all of the good tricks that people, all the wealthy, the 1% have. And the other is know yourself, get to know yourself and be gentle with yourself. Self-compassion is something I've had to learn building this business. And we can only be as effective as what we believe we are. And it's not I'm not saying, oh, be arrogant or anything like that. It's just know who you are and know who you aren't. And being honest with yourself about that will really help build the business, I think.
I love it. With that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Monique, first and foremost, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your incredible journey and your insights with us. Again, as I just mentioned, clear as day with your energy, your passion, your drive. You're going to do some amazing things. So,
Thank
really, it's
you.
a pleasure to have you on and hear your journey so far. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Gebanah at gebanah.com to learn more about their work in elevating business culture. And for more resources and insights, you can visit closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.